If a supermarket simply pushes intrusive, unskippable video ads onto the screen of your smart cart while you're trying to scan a barcode, it creates immense friction. It becomes a barrier to the very thing you came in to do.
It would drive people mad.
Absolutely.
What if it was actively responding to the items you placed inside it? We are talking about a highly intelligent, real-time shopping assistant that, well, it knows your exact location in the store, understands your dietary preferences, and actually anticipates what you might need next before you even reach the till.
We are witnessing a fundamental architectural shift in how physical stores operate and how they communicate with you while you shop.
Spot on. We are exploring the incredibly fast-moving world of in-store retail media at self-checkout.
Which is a huge topic right now.
It really is.
Yeah.
To unpack this, we have gathered a stack of industry sources detailing how tech providers are helping supermarkets monetize their physical spaces, focus heavily on smart carts, and the broader trends in retail media networks. The digital screens on these smart carts, along with mobile scan and go apps, are completely bridging the gap between the physical store and e-commerce. To grasp the sheer scale of this transformation, we have to look at consumer behavior. There's a rather staggering statistic from our sources.
Yeah, this one really stood out to me. Despite the absolute boom in online shopping and rapid delivery services over the last decade, roughly 70 to 80% of grocery purchases are still made in store.
That is massive.
It is. But more importantly, 70% of the actual purchase decisions are made right there in the aisles.
Which feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? Given how much time we spend talking about the shift to digital, we tend to assume everything has migrated to apps and web browsers.
You do, yeah.
But when it comes to groceries, the physical shop floor remains the ultimate point of purchase.
It does. And for decades, the marketing strategy in those physical spaces was remarkably static. Think about the traditional in-store media you are used to seeing.
Massive cardboard displays.
Right, promotional end caps, and eventually generic digital screens. You might recall those overhead televisions near the deli counter playing the same promotional loop all day long.
Oh, I know the ones.
They were entirely disconnected from the individual shopper. You would walk past them, and the retailer simply had to hope that the broadcast caught your eye at exactly the right moment.
It's like a generic broadcast ad for dog food playing on a loop, which is utterly useless if you only own a cat.
Exactly.
It's essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But this new wave of self-checkout media alters that dynamic completely. We're looking at smart carts equipped with integrated tablets, handheld scanners, and consumer-facing mobile apps.
So instead of you walking past a static ad, the media actually moves with you through the store.
Rolls right along with you.
Rolls with the shopper, exactly.
Yeah.
And the underlying mechanism here is real-time context. These self-checkout touchpoints utilize a constant stream of dynamic signals to deliver hyper-relevant content.
What sort of signals are we talking about?
Well, the system registers the items you have just scanned, it processes the current composition of your basket, and crucially, it tracks your exact physical position in the aisle.
Which is fascinating because previously that level of contextual awareness was the exclusive domain of e-commerce.
Spot on. When you browse online, the server knows your click history, your dwell time on a page, what sits in your digital basket. Now, the physical supermarket has deployed that exact same capability.
Let's consider how that actually feels for you, the shopper. Because there is a fine line between being helpful and being intrusive. The best ads should feel like assistance, not advertising.
That is the core UX philosophy driving the successful deployment of these retail media networks.
UX being user experience, of course.
Right. If a supermarket simply pushes intrusive, unskippable video ads onto the screen of your smart cart while you're trying to scan a barcode, it creates immense friction. It becomes a barrier to the very thing you came in to do.
It would drive people mad.
Absolutely. However, if the content is timely, highly relevant, and solves a problem, the shopper perceives it as a valuable service rather than a marketing pitch.
I'd love to break down how that looks in practice. The sources outline a scenario that really illustrates this shift from advertising to assistance.
The milk and cereal example.
Yes. So, say I'm using one of these smart carts. I walk over to the dairy cooler, and I scan a carton of milk. What happens next?
Well, the moment that barcode registers, the system processes the milk and cross-references it with your location and potential complementary items. Instantly, a quiet, subtle banner might appear on your cart's screen suggesting a brand of cereal you frequently buy.
And it tells you exactly where it is.
Right, noting that it's located just 2 aisles away. But the software goes a step further. Alongside the product suggestion, It can present a recipe card for a quick 10-minute breakfast idea that incorporates both the milk and the cereal.
See, that feels incredibly organic because the trigger item naturally pairs with the suggestion. It doesn't feel like a random pop-up. It feels like the trolley is actively helping me plan my morning.
Which leads us directly into what the industry refers to as the 5 paths to basket growth. The sources highlight these 5 distinct formats that retailers use to reliably increase a shopper's basket size without adding any frustrating friction.
And the first one is what we just described, right? Recipes and inspiration.
Exactly. The psychology is straightforward hungry. Time-poor shoppers respond well to meal solutions. By offering smart meal ideas based on the items already in the trolley, the retailer taps into impulse buying while simultaneously solving the what's for dinner dilemma.
Which is a daily struggle for most of us.
It is. And these platforms often incorporate smart filtering for specific diets or allergens, complete with an instant add-to-list function.
Having a culinary advisor embedded in the trolley is brilliant. But surely they don't just rely on complex recipes to drive sales. What is the second path?
The second path leans heavily on recommendations and reminders. This mirrors the classic e-commerce feature where you see customers who bought this also bought. The Smart Cart highlights highly recommended add-ons or commonly forgotten essentials based on your current location. If you are in the baking aisle scanning flour and sugar, the screen might offer a gentle reminder about baking powder or vanilla extract.
I cannot tell you the amount of times I've had to run back to the shops because I forgot the one vital ingredient for a recipe. A well-timed nudge would save a lot of frustration.
Exactly.
But what happens when the item I actually want is simply out of stock? We've all been there.
That brings us to the third format, which is product alternatives. If you are searching for a specific item and the shelf is empty, the screen can immediately suggest a suitable substitute.
Oh, that's clever.
It gets better. What is particularly interesting from a business perspective is that these alternative placements are often sponsored directly by competing CPG brands.
Wait, really? So a brand can effectively pay to position themselves as the premium backup option exactly when their competitor fails to keep the shelves stocked?
Yes, exactly. It turns an out-of-stock nightmare into a highly targeted acquisition strategy for a rival brand.
The fourth involves coupons and sponsored offers. But these are a far cry from the generic paper coupons printed at the till.
The ones that end up crumpled at the bottom of your bag.
Right. These new digital offers are dynamic. They are prioritized by the time of day, the season, or the specific region, appearing on the screen precisely when they are most statistically likely to convert.
Okay, and the final path.
Fifth path is in-store navigation. The system actively guides you to the correct aisle or zone for any of these suggested items. This is particularly effective when integrated with electronic shelf labels.
Oh, so the shelf itself reacts.
Yes. The screen navigates you to the aisle, and the digital tag on the shelf might actually flash to catch your eye, completely removing the friction of hunting for an unfamiliar product. I imagine the UX design required to orchestrate all of this has to be flawless, because it seems incredibly easy to cross the line from a helpful digital concierge to an overwhelming barrage of pop-ups.
Restraint is arguably the most critical component of the entire system. Exceptional UX in retail media means the software must aggressively cap the frequency of these prompts.
It can't just be pinging every 5 seconds.
No, it has to respect the user's cognitive load. If a screen flashes a new offer every few steps, the shopper will simply tune it out. Or worse, abandon the smart cart entirely.
Right.
There must be an undeniable value exchange. If the system interrupts the shopping journey, it must be offering a highly relevant discount, a practical recipe, or a genuine time-saving navigational cue.
The tone of voice, the timing, the visual hierarchy on the screen, that is what actually wins the shelf.
Absolutely.
Let's pivot slightly from the shopper's experience in the aisle and look at the mechanics behind the scenes. Historically, physical supermarkets have suffered from a massive attribution problem.
A huge blind spot.
Right, because if a store erected a massive end cap display for a new sparkling water, they could check the aggregate sales data at the end of the week to see if numbers went up overall. But they had absolutely no way of knowing if a specific shopper looked at the display, considered the product, and then actually placed it in their basket.
Exactly. E-commerce platforms solved that attribution problem 2 decades ago. Online, every single impression, click, and conversion is meticulously tracked and attributed.
But physical retail was just guessing.
Largely operating in the dark, yes. But smart carts and self-checkout software finally closed that loop in the physical world. Because the cart itself serves as both the digital advertising surface and the transactional checkout interface, retailers can track an ad from the exact moment of impression directly through to the point of purchase.
It essentially turns the physical aisle into a fully trackable web page.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
But that level of visibility must require an immense amount of background integration to pull off in real time.
These retail media platforms cannot function in isolation. First, you have deep integration with the retailer's loyalty programs.
Okay, so the club cards and points apps.
Right. By tapping into your loyalty profile the moment you unlock the cart, the system isn't just reacting to what you scan today. It triggers hyper-personalized ads based on your historical purchase data and long-term shopping patterns.
So if the system logs that I buy a specific brand of coffee beans every 3 weeks, it calculates my consumption rate and proactively flags a promotion for those beans just as I walk past the hot drinks aisle.
That is the exact use case. Furthermore, these systems integrate with sophisticated recommendation engines, which power those live, location-based suggestions we discussed earlier, recalculating probabilities instantly as your basket composition changes.
It's doing a lot of maths very quickly.
A tremendous amount. But from a pure revenue perspective, the most critical integration is with retail media network platforms.
The RMNs?
Yes. This technology is what allows CPG brands to automate their ad buying across the store's fleet of carts. A brand's marketing team can log into a portal and programmatically book a campaign targeting a highly specific audience segment at a designated time of day, right at the physical point of purchase.
The result of linking all these systems together is that the physical store suddenly unlocks access to brand new KPIs that used to only exist on dashboards for online stores.
The metrics are totally transformed.
Suddenly, physical retailers can measure average order value, conversion rates on highly specific ad creatives, and units per transaction with absolute clarity.
This represents a profound evolution of the retailer's fundamental business model.
Mm-hmm.
They are no longer simply operating a logistics hub that sells groceries. They're actively selling highly targeted, perfectly timed digital attention to their suppliers.
Which naturally brings us to the financial mechanics of this whole operation. Because deploying fleets of smart carts, maintaining the tablets, licensing all these software integrations, that requires massive capital expenditure. How are the retailers actually monetizing this to see a return on investment?
They monetize the hardware by selling the digital screen estate. Retailers treat these high-intent screens as premium digital ad inventory, selling it directly to their brand partners.
So they become media owners?
Precisely. If you view this from the perspective of a major CPG brand, perhaps a company launching a premium pasta sauce, they are acutely aware that 70% of purchase decisions happen inside the store.
Right, that stat from earlier.
Yes. So the ability to place a targeted, vibrant digital ad on a shopper's screen at the exact moment that individual is standing in the pasta aisle is incredibly valuable. Brands are willing to pay a significant premium for that placement because, for the first time, they receive detailed, closed-loop analytics proving exactly how many sales that specific ad generated.
It creates a compelling ecosystem. You, the shopper, receive a relevant discount on your pasta sauce. The brand secures a confirmed, measurable sale. And the retailer opens up an entirely new, high-margin revenue stream.
Well, as the market for in-store retail media expands, we are seeing a surge of third-party technology providers stepping in, offering to manage these ad networks on behalf of the retailers. There is a tremendous risk of control, proprietary data, and ultimate revenue shifting away from the retailers and into the hands of these third-party middlemen.
A vendor approaches a supermarket and offers to handle the complex programmatic ads serving for their smart carts. But in exchange, they siphon off a massive percentage of the ad revenue and retain the highly valuable shopper behavioral data for their own models.
Which is exactly why the sources are adamant that retailers must be incredibly strategic when selecting their technology partners. Retailers need enterprise solutions that allow them to maintain absolute sovereignty over their channels.
They have to own it outright.
They must retain outright ownership of their customer data, dictate the pricing and frequency of the ads, and crucially, keep 100% of the retail media revenue generated on their screens. If a retailer concedes that revenue share to a tech provider, they're essentially giving away the most profitable layer of this entire technological leap.
It is entirely about maintaining ownership of their own physical and digital footprint. And when we discuss the ownership and leveraging of shopper data, we have to address the mechanics of tracking.
Privacy is a huge factor here.
It has to be. If a smart cart is logging my historical purchases, my real-time location, and my reaction to specific ads, that is an extraordinary amount of data being processed as I walk down the aisle.
Data processing at this scale requires rigorous architectural safeguards, and the sources highlight how leading platforms navigate this. The industry standard for mitigating these risks is a framework known as privacy by design.
What does that look like in practice?
It means the system architecture is built from the foundational level up to minimize the collection and exposure of personally identifiable information. The data utilized to target the ads and generate performance reports for the CPG brands is heavily aggregated and anonymized.
So the brand doesn't know it's me specifically buying the sauce.
Exactly. The brand's dashboard shows that a shopper within a specific demographic cohort purchased their pasta sauce after viewing the ad, but the system ensures they cannot identify that the shopper was you. Implementing compliant processing and secure, anonymized storage is strictly non-negotiable for these networks to scale successfully.
Let's take a moment to pull all of these threads together and recap the territory we've covered in this deep dive. We started by examining the decline of generic, static in-store media and explored the rapid rise of highly personalized, data-driven shopping assistants.
Moving from broadcast to context.
Precisely. These smart carts and self-checkout applications move through the aisles with you, functioning as a concierge that provides recipes, navigates you to specific shelves, and offers perfectly timed product alternatives.
We also unpack the mechanics of how this technology bridges the historical divide between e-commerce analytics and the physical shop floor.
Closing the loop.
Right. By transforming the cart into both the advertising medium and the checkout interface, retailers have finally solved the in-store attribution problem, bringing deep, measurable metrics like conversion rates into the physical aisles.
Ultimately, it represents a massive evolution in how retail spaces are monetized. It allows supermarkets to tap into lucrative ad budgets from brand partners, provided they strategically choose platforms that allow them to keep 100% of the revenue they generate.
And provided they remember that the entire ecosystem collapses without a flawless user experience. The digital prompts must always cross the threshold into genuine assistance rather than slipping into intrusive advertising.
So the next time you find yourself in a physical store and a digital screen on your trolley offers you a perfectly timed discount for that one ingredient you almost forgot, you will know it was far from a coincidence.
No lucky guesses here.
Not at all. You will understand the complex, real-time web of basket analytics, loyalty data integrations, and programmatic retail media bidding that executed that seemingly lucky guess. It is a highly orchestrated, real-time ballet of data.